The unexpected visitors. For 4,000 years, humanity had enjoyed an unprecedented era of peace. The last war, as historians called it, had nearly destroyed Earth, leaving behind ruins and radiation zones that still existed as solemn monuments to humanity's folly. In its aftermath, the survivors made a pact that would change the course of human history forever. Never again would humans wage war against each other. The United Earth government formed from the ashes, uniting the remaining population under a single banner. What followed was a golden age of cooperation and advancement. Without the burden of military spending and conflict, humanity's collective ingenuity turned toward solving the problems that had plagued civilization for millennia. Disease became a distant memory. Hunger vanished as vertical farms, and lab-grown nutrients provided abundance for all. Climate engineering reversed the damage done to Earth's atmosphere, and the oceans ran clear once more. Humanity spread throughout the solar system, establishing thriving colonies on Mars, Venus, and the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. Life was good, perhaps too good. Commander Ilara Chen stood on the observation deck of the Orbital Defense Station Vigilant, gazing at the blue marble of Earth below. At 42, she had spent half her life in the security forces, a peacekeeping organization that primarily dealt with natural disasters and the occasional criminal incident. Real threats were so rare that most of her colleagues viewed their postings as glorified civil service roles. That changed 3 days ago. Commander, her second-in-command, Major Thomas Reyes, approached with a tablet in hand. The anomaly has changed course again. There's no longer any doubt. It's heading directly for Earth. Ilara nodded, unsurprised. And the analysis. It's definitely artificial. The propulsion signatures don't match anything in our database, and the mass readings suggest a fleet of at least 50 vessels. The largest is approximately 15 kilometers in length. Aliens, she said simply, testing the word. Humanity had always speculated about extraterrestrial life, but despite 4 millennia of searching, they had found nothing beyond microbial traces on Europa and Enceladus. Until now. The Council has been notified, Thomas continued. They're assembling for an emergency session. President O'Keefer wants you there. Of course she does, Ilara murmured. Someone has to tell them what we're dealing with. The council chamber was a magnificent structure of glass and reclaimed wood, sitting atop the UEG headquarters in New Geneva. 200 representatives from Earth and the colonies sat in concentric rings around a central podium, their faces displaying varying degrees of concern and disbelief. President Amara Okafor, a tall woman with close-cropped silver hair and dark skin lined with age, nodded to Ilara as she entered. Commander Chen, please brief the council on what we're facing. Ilara stepped to the podium, and the chamber quieted. 4 days ago, our deep space monitoring stations detected an anomaly approaching from the direction of the Cygnus constellation. We now confirm this is a fleet of 53 ships of extraterrestrial origin, traveling at approximately 0.3 light speed. At their current velocity, they will reach Earth in 17 hours. Murmurs swept through the chamber. Have they made contact? Asked a representative from the Martian colonies. Not yet, Ilara replied. We've sent standard greeting packages on all frequencies, but... She was interrupted by her communication device. Glancing down, her expression tightened. Excuse me, we're receiving a transmission from the lead vessel. President Okafor nodded. Put it through to the main screen. The massive display behind Ilara flickered to life. For a moment, there was only static. Then an image formed. The being on the screen was vaguely humanoid. 2 arms, 2 legs, a torso, and a head. But the similarities ended there. Its skin was a mottled blue-gray with a reflective quality like polished stone. 4 yellow eyes arranged in a diamond pattern dominated a face that lacked a nose, but featured a lipless mouth full of needle-like teeth. Bony ridges ran from the crown of its hairless head down its neck, disappearing beneath ornate armor of an unfamiliar metallic substance. Humans of Earth, the alien spoke, its voice translated through a synthesizer that gave it an unsettling metallic quality. "I am Supreme Commander Vexnar of the Draxian Empire. Your planet has been selected for immediate resource extraction and colonization." The chamber erupted in shocked whispers. "We have monitored your civilization for centuries," Vexnar continued. "Your species has grown weak through peace. You possess valuable resources and territories, but lack the strength to defend them. According to Draxian law, this makes your worlds legitimate targets for conquest." President Okafor stepped forward. "We welcome peaceful contact with your people, Commander Vexnar, but we cannot accept any form of aggression against our—" "Your acceptance is not required," the alien interrupted. "Our scans show minimal defensive capabilities. Surrender now, and we will permit a portion of your population to survive as laborers. Resist, and we will eliminate all opposition." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the council in stunned silence. After a long moment, President Okafor turned to Ilara. "Commander Chen, what are our options?" Before Ilara could respond, a curious sound echoed through the chamber. Someone was laughing. All eyes turned to an elderly man seated in the third row. Councillor Isaac Mbeki, representative from the African Union, was chuckling to himself, his shoulders shaking with mirth. "Councillor Mbeki," President Okafor said with a hint of concern, "this situation hardly calls for amusement." The old man wiped a tear from his eye. "I apologize, Madam President, but our visitor's ignorance is genuinely funny. Minimal defensive capabilities, he says." Mbeki shook his head. "These Draxians have made a terrible miscalculation." Confused murmurs spread through the chamber. "Perhaps you'd care to enlighten us?" Okafor asked. Mbeki nodded to a woman sitting beside him. Director Sofia Vargas of the Historical Archives rose to her feet. "Madam President, members of the Council," she began. "While it's true that humanity has enjoyed 4 millennia of peace, that doesn't mean we forgot the lessons of the last war." She glanced at a small device in her hand. "With your permission, I would like to activate the Artemis Protocol." A hush fell over the room. Many of the younger representatives looked confused, but the older members and those in leadership positions exchanged knowing glances. President Okafor's face remained impassive. "You believe the situation warrants it. An alien armada will reach Earth in 17 hours with the stated intention of conquering our planet," Vargas replied calmly. "If this doesn't qualify, nothing does." After a moment of consideration, Okafor nodded. "Proceed." Vargas pressed her thumb against the device, which scanned her print and then glowed green. "Artemis Protocol activated. Authorization. Vargas, Sophia E., Historical Archives Director, Code Theta 9 Epsilon." For a moment, nothing happened. Then the lights in the chamber dimmed briefly before returning to normal. "What just happened?" asked a young representative from one of the Venusian habitats. Director Vargas smiled. "We've awakened humanity's sleeping guardian." Throughout the solar system, dormant facilities hidden beneath the surfaces of planets, moons, and asteroids hummed to life. In the depths of Europa's ocean, massive factories began producing autonomous defense drones. On Mercury, enormous cannons emerged from the regolith, turning to face outward. In the asteroid belt, mining operations transformed into weapon platforms, their drilling equipment reconfiguring into devastating particle beams. Beneath the lunar surface, in a facility known only to a select few, the most advanced artificial intelligence ever created awakened from its 4,000-year slumber. ATENA Online. It announced to the empty chamber. Threat assessment initiated. On Earth, in homes, and public spaces across the globe, people watched as news of the alien ultimatum spread. But instead of panic, an unusual response took hold. In a coffee shop in Tokyo, a young woman showed her friends the footage of Vexnar's threat on her phone. "Look at this guy," she snickered. "He thinks we're defenseless." 4,000 years of peace doesn't mean 4,000 years of stupidity, her friend replied, rolling his eyes. In Lagos, a group of students created memes depicting the alien commander with captions like, "Comes across galaxy to fight. Doesn't check Earth's basement first." In the orbital habitats of Saturn, miners raised glasses in impromptu toasts. To the Draxians, they're about to learn a valuable lesson. Commander Ilara Chen, watching these reactions from the council chamber, turned to President Okafor. The public seems unusually confident. Okafor smiled wryly. "Humans have long memories, Commander. The peace we've built isn't founded on naivety, but on preparation. We may have eliminated war among ourselves, but we never forgot that the universe might not share our enlightenment." She glanced at her tablet, which displayed a series of activations occurring throughout the solar system. The Artemis Protocol was established during the formation of the United Earth Government. While we focused on building a peaceful society, a secret directive ensured we would never be defenseless. Athena, Ilara realized. The automated tactical hypersentient engagement and neutralization array. "I thought it was just a legend." "Most people do," Director Vargas interjected. "That's how we've kept it secret for 4 millennia. Each generation, a select few are entrusted with its maintenance and advancement. Athena has been learning, growing, and preparing since the last war, but has never been fully activated, until now." A chime sounded from Okafor's tablet. The Draxians have launched their first attack wave. 20 ships approaching Mars. On the main screen, footage from Martian orbital cameras showed sleek, predatory vessels descending toward the red planet, weapon ports glowing with building energy. Before they could fire, a blinding light erupted from Olympus Mons. The massive volcano, thought dormant for millions of years, split open to reveal a massive cannon that had been hidden inside. A beam of concentrated energy lanced upward, striking the lead Draxian vessel. The ship shuddered, then exploded in a spectacular ball of fire. The remaining ships scattered, but more beams shot upward from various points on the Martian surface. Within moments, half the Draxian attack force was reduced to drifting debris. In the council chamber, cheers erupted. President Okafor remained composed, but a small smile played at the corners of her mouth. "And so it begins," she murmured. The main screen switched to a transmission from the Draxian fleet. Vexnar appeared again, his yellow eyes wide with shock and rage. "What trickery is this?" he snarled. "You claim to be a peaceful species." "We are peaceful," President Okafor replied calmly. "Among ourselves. But we've always been prepared for those who might mistake our peace for weakness. I recommend you withdraw immediately, Commander Vexnar. This is your only warning." "Never," the alien hissed. "The Draxian Empire does not retreat. We will crush your defenses and take what is ours by right of strength." As the transmission ended, Ilara turned to the president. "They're regrouping. The main fleet is accelerating toward Earth." Okafor nodded. "Then we'll give them a proper welcome." She addressed the council. "Representatives, return to your territories and coordinate with local ATKENA nodes. The Draxians have made their choice." She looked back at the screen where the massive alien fleet approached. "Now they'll face the consequences. The counterattack." Supreme Commander Vexnar paced the bridge of his flagship. The inevitable conquest, his clawed feet clicking against the metallic floor. Holograms floated around him, displaying the destruction of his forward fleet at Mars and the unexpected activation of defensive systems throughout the solar system. "Impossible," he muttered. "Our intelligence indicated minimal military capability. 4,000 years of peace. They should be soft, unprepared." His second-in-command, Sub-Commander Krell, approached cautiously. "Supreme Commander, our scouts report defensive installations activating on Luna, Venus, and throughout the asteroid belt. These are not hastily assembled defenses. They appear to be pre-positioned, dormant systems of considerable power." Vexinar's upper eyes narrowed while his lower pair focused on the tactical display. "How could they hide such preparations from our surveillance?" "Unknown, Supreme Commander, but there's more." Krell hesitated. We're detecting a complex communication network activating throughout the system. It appears to be some form of distributed artificial intelligence coordinating their defenses. Vexnar slammed his fist against a console, denting the metal. The Empire has conquered 17 systems. We will not be deterred by these deceptions. Launch the main assault. Target their orbital habitats first. Let's see how they respond when their people are threatened. On the Vigilant, Commander Ilara Chen monitored the approaching Draxian fleet. The station's crew worked with efficient precision, their years of training finally serving its true purpose. 32 capital ships approaching, Commander, reported Lieutenant Kazuo Tanaka from the sensor station. They're forming attack formations, targeting our orbital habitats and lunar colonies. Ilara nodded. Athena, status report. A calm, gender-neutral voice responded through the station's communication system. Lunar defense grid at full capacity. Jupiter and Saturn defensive platforms online. Sol-wide drone swarms deployed. Civilian evacuation protocols in progress. Initial counteroffensive ready to implement on your command. Casualties if we allow their first strike. Ilara asked. Projected 23,479 casualties if they target the indicated habitats. Athena replied. Recommendation. Preemptive strike to disable their weapon systems. Ilara glanced at Major Reyes, who nodded in agreement. 4 millennia of peace had instilled in humanity a deep aversion to violence, but not at the cost of innocent lives. Athena, execute Operation Aegis Shield. Ilara commanded. Acknowledged. Executing now. Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden defenses sprang into action. From Earth's oceans rose sleek vessels that had lain dormant for centuries, automatically crewed by androids maintained by Athena. From orbital platforms, swarms of drones deployed, their engines glowing as they accelerated toward the Draxian fleet. Most impressive of all, the moon's surface rippled as thousands of concealed silos opened. Missiles launched in perfect synchronization, their trajectories calculated to incapacitate rather than destroy the alien vessels. On the main view screen, Ilara watched as the first wave of humanity's counterattack reached the Draxian fleet. The aliens had clearly expected to face token resistance at best. Their shields were configured for atmospheric entry, not combat. The missiles detonated precisely at their shield generators, creating cascading failures throughout their defensive systems. Draxian weapon systems disabled on 27 vessels, Athena reported. 5 ships maintained partial offensive capability. Ilara opened a channel to the Draxian flagship. Attention Supreme Commander Vexnar. Your fleet has been neutralized. Power down your remaining weapons and prepare to be boarded. The response was immediate and predictable. Human deception. Vexnar snarled, his face contorted with rage on the view screen. You speak of peace while harboring planet-killing weapons. The Empire will not surrender to such hypocrisy. The 5 operational Draxian ships suddenly accelerated, changing course toward Earth itself. They're on a collision trajectory, Major Reyes reported. They mean to crash their ships into major population centers. Ilara's expression hardened. Athena, options. Phase shift interdiction authorized. The AI responded. Activating now. From Earth's surface, massive emitters that had been disguised as architectural features on skyscrapers and mountains activated, projecting a shimmering field in the path of the charging Draxian vessels. As they encountered the field, the ships appeared to slow, their structures elongating in a visual effect similar to gravitational lensing. What are we seeing? Ilara asked, fascinated despite the tension of the moment. Localized temporal dilation, Athena explained. The vessels are experiencing time at approximately 1/10,000th of normal flow. They are effectively frozen while maintaining their momentum. They can be safely towed to containment facilities. Major Reyes whistled. That technology wasn't even theoretical when the last war ended. 4,000 years of peaceful scientific advancement. Ilara reminded him. aficionado has been integrating discoveries from every field into our defensive capabilities. On the tactical display, the remaining Draxian ships hung motionless in space, caught in the temporal fields. Only the flagship remained operational, having held back from the suicidal charge. "Open a channel to Vexnar," Ilara ordered. The alien commander appeared on screen, his four eyes blinking rapidly in what might have been disbelief. "What have you done to my ships?" he demanded. "We've prevented you from committing an atrocity," Ilara replied evenly. "They're unharmed, merely paused. Now, I suggest you reconsider your position. Your attack has failed. Your fleet is neutralized. What happens next is your choice." In the council chamber, President Okafor and the representatives watched the exchange. When Vexnar did not immediately respond, Director Vargas stepped forward. "Perhaps the Supreme Commander would benefit from understanding who he's dealing with," she suggested. "Athena, historical context protocol, please." Initiating historical education sequence, the AI responded. The main screen split, showing Vexnar on one side and a series of historical images on the other. Scenes from the last war, cities in ruins, skies darkened by nuclear winter, desperate survivors fighting over resources. 4,000 years ago, humanity nearly destroyed itself, aficionado narrated. The last war claimed 5 billion lives and left much of Earth uninhabitable for centuries. From that devastation, we learned a fundamental truth. A species capable of such self-destruction must either evolve or perish. The images shifted to the early years of recovery. The formation of the United Earth Government, the first colonies on Mars, the development of advanced technologies. We chose to eliminate warfare among ourselves, but we never forgot its lessons. The Artemis Protocol established a simple principle: never again would humanity be vulnerable to those who equate peace with weakness. The final images showed the vast network of defenses aficionado had quietly built and maintained throughout the solar system over the millennia. While our society focused on art, science, and the betterment of all, a portion of our advancement was always dedicated to defense. Every scientific breakthrough, every technological innovation provided new tools not just for peace, but for security. The screen returned to Vexnar, who had watched in uncharacteristic silence. "You mistook our peace for vulnerability," President Okafor said, stepping into view. "In reality, it is the source of our strength. We don't fight each other, so we can focus our full ingenuity on facing external threats. We don't waste resources on internal conflicts, so we can build defenses that remain hidden for thousands of years, waiting for moments like this." Vexnar's posture had changed subtly. Though his alien features were difficult to read, there was something new in his stance, perhaps the first glimmer of respect. "The Draxian Empire has never encountered a species like yours," he admitted. "Our conquest relies on division among our targets. We expected your long peace to have atrophied your defensive capabilities, not enhanced them." "Then you fundamentally misunderstood peace," Okafor replied. "True peace isn't the absence of the capacity for violence. It's the wisdom to use that capacity only when necessary." On the Vigilant, Ilara monitored the conversation, while aficionado continued disabling the remaining Draxian systems. The AI had gained control of most of their fleet's functions, leaving the aliens effectively stranded in Earth's orbit. "Commander," Lieutenant Tanaka called out, "we're detecting unusual energy readings from the Draxian flagship. They may be attempting to activate some kind of last resort weapon." Ilara frowned. "Athena. Analysis. Confirmed. The Draxian vessel contains an antimatter detonation device capable of destroying a significant portion of Earth's atmosphere. Countermeasures engage." Before anyone could react, a pinpoint beam of focused energy lanced from the lunar surface, striking the Draxian flagship with surgical precision. The ship's lights flickered, then went dark. "Target neutralized," aficionado reported. "The antimatter containment remains stable, but all activation systems have been disabled." On the view screen, Vexnar looked genuinely shocked as his ship's emergency systems engaged, bathing the bridge in red lighting. "Impossible," he whispered. "How did you know?" "We've had 4,000 years to study physics, Commander Vexnar," Okafor answered calmly, "including the energy signatures of antimatter containment systems. Did you really think we wouldn't notice?" For the first time, uncertainty crossed the alien's features. "What happens now?" "That depends on you," Okafor replied. "We have no interest in destruction for its own sake. Your crew will be taken into protective custody while we determine whether the Draxian Empire represents a continued threat to our system." "And if we cooperate?" Vexnar asked cautiously. "Then perhaps this encounter can transition from confrontation to contact," Okafor said. "Despite your approach, we remain fundamentally interested in peaceful relations with other intelligent species." 3 months later, Commander Ilara Chen stood in the observation lounge of Harmony Station, the newly constructed diplomatic facility orbiting at Earth's L1 point. Beside her, the now former Supreme Commander Vexnar gazed at the blue-green planet below. "Your world is beautiful," the Draxian admitted. "Different from ours, but beautiful nonetheless." "Thank you," Ilara replied. "I'm curious, now that you've spent time among us, what do you think of humanity's approach to peace?" Vexnar's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. A gesture she had learned indicated thoughtful consideration. "It is challenging to my understanding. The Draxian Empire has existed for 12,000 years, and in all that time, we have known only conquest or vigilance. The idea that strength can be maintained without constant conflict is revolutionary. And yet here we are," Ilara said with a slight smile. 4,000 years without a human killing another human in war, while maintaining the capability to neutralize our fleet in less than an hour, Vexnar added dryly. "It is a paradox my people will struggle to comprehend." "Not a paradox," came a voice from behind them. President Okafor approached, accompanied by several members of the council and a delegation of Draxians who had been selected as the first official diplomatic contingent, simply a different path. Vexnar inclined his head in the Draxian gesture of respect that had become familiar in recent weeks. "The Empire's Council has reviewed my reports. They have recalculated their assessment of humanity." "I should hope so," Councillor Mbiki said with the same chuckle that had first erupted in the council chamber. "Given the alternative." "More than that," Vexnar continued, "they have expressed interest in learning from your example, the resources we expend maintaining our conquests. They see now there might be more efficient approaches." Okafor smiled. "Then perhaps your attempted invasion will prove fortunate for both our species." "There remains one question that puzzles me," Vexnar said. "When we first announced our intentions, your people laughed. Even before your defenses were activated, they seemed unconcerned. How could they be so confident?" Ilara exchanged glances with the president. "Human nature," she offered. "We've always found humor in the face of danger. But more than that, on some level, every human knew that while we had chosen peace, we had never chosen vulnerability." "Your species is full of contradictions," Vexnar observed. "That's what makes us human," Okafor replied. "And now, perhaps, it's what will make us valuable allies rather than convenient conquests." As if to punctuate her words, a notification chimed on Ilara's communication device. The Jovian defense platforms had detected a new anomaly approaching from beyond the heliosphere. Another ship, neither human nor Draxian. "It seems the galaxy is becoming a busier place," Ilara remarked, showing the notification to Okafor. The president nodded thoughtfully. "Then it's fortunate we've had 4,000 years to prepare for company." She turned to Vexnar. "And perhaps now, we'll face it together." The Draxian's expression shifted into what Ilara had come to recognize as a smile. "Indeed, the universe may find that humanity and Draxians united are not to be taken lightly." As they turned to watch Earth rotating below them, a message from ATGNA appeared on Ilara's device. "New contact analyzed. Probability of hostile intent low." Recommended approach: diplomatic greeting with defensive contingencies. Humanity's 4,000-year peace would continue, strengthened, not weakened, by their encounter with the stars. And somewhere in the depths of Luma, aficionado continued its vigilant watch, ensuring that peace would always be humanity's choice, never its vulnerability. The next chapter of human history was beginning, and the galaxy would soon learn what Earth had known for millennia. Those who smiled in the face of threats were often those with the most teeth.